This is Sense Nation. Sense Nation.
The Sense Nation.
Sense Nation. Where we make sense of life and reality. And then this evening, but hey, it's still good. It feels good to get back to this.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. Welcome to Sense Nation podcast with my guests. Don't worry, enjoy your tea and enjoy your coffee. It's cold out here.
And I'm hungry.
This is June. This is bad man actually. My birthday was yesterday. So one of the facts that I know is June is a cold month. Yeah, people, welcome back. New year, new episode. And today I'm joined by Juliah Awuor. You listen to podcasts, and you can tell a good podcast by how you follow a podcast, by how the host is taking you through life and all that. And I've listened to her podcast into you feel somebody is talking to you and you just chill. You have no idea what will hit you, or when it hits you, you'll be like, oh yeah, we're going somewhere. And I was listening to yours with your mom and talking about motherhood, and I'm like, girls actually goes through stuff, and it's a whole ride that a man cannot understand.
True.
You cannot imagine me watching mosquitoes.
I know,
because I think I'll fall asleep, definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But what mothers do is just something you be like, yeah, only a mother can do that.
True.
As a man, you should be like, yeah, that's something I cannot do. Not because it's impossible, but because it's out of you even thinking blind as legs.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome today.
Thank you so much.
What's the name of your podcast? Let's start with that. Let your people know about
So first of all, thank you for having me here. I think we planned it for the very longest time, and today we just had to do it. We are not even ready, but we say we're just hitting the road running. So yeah, I'm Juliah Awuor. My podcast goes by the name Just Being Real, Good Vibes Only Podcast, and yeah, it's been an amazing journey. I was actually talking to him and I didn't realize yesterday I was hitting my 1 year mark.
Whoa,
I don't know how I
12th
forgot.
June.
Yes,
12th
June. Yes.
That's a big day. I feel good. You know, Calligraph Jones was also a 12th June person.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
So it was his birthday as well. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Just being real. Good vibes on the whole year. That is needed.
Yes, a 35 episode. That's something.
Whoa. How long is an episode?
Basically they range from 45 to 50 minutes. Yes.
Wow.
But the more I keep doing it, the longer sometimes they become, because you have so much stories. But I keep trying and see how long at least people are comfortable to listen to the podcast. If it takes too long, then I divide it into two.
But 45, 50 minutes, I mean, people have been asking me about mine, and I'm like, it's that long, man. I'm like, yeah, that's too long. Before do 15 minutes. And then I'm like, 15 minutes? Do you know how much I recorded and how much I cut out of mine just to be able to fit at least comfortable, right?
Yes.
And better such a way.
Yes. But I guess when the content is interesting, then someone will even realize.
Good.
Yeah, they'll just go with you. So yeah.
So I bet people just want to be out here, to being real and good background.
Yes.
Whoa, this is Sense Nation, we make sense of life and reality, and that's just some crazy stuff, like making sense, because from my side, once you make sense of something, it's usually a whole different thing. By understanding something, it's not the same like when you're not understanding something.
Sure.
And then, what else do we have to make life and reality? you're live. Another 1 day, 2 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, week, month.
That's something.
Another year.
Yes.
So yeah, another year I'm here. I feel great. I've had like 2 accidents, and I'm like, wow, it feels amazing still being here. It's a gift. And you just like, I know life can be stressful, very stressful. You're like, perfect. It's just like, and it's everybody.
Yeah.
One of the trickiest things is how you're talking about podcasting, and it's not about the money.
Yes.
It's about the impact, it's about the event, it's about social impact. It's about what you want to see out here, because again, you're like, do you feel like you have to do this thing so well? You realize people don't know this thing, so you're just like, let me speak about this. What was the idea behind what pushed you to bring a podcast?
So what really pushed me is, something happened to me back in 2019. So I lost my job and I went to venting, and so many people came out, shared the video and everything, just because everyone, I think, was feeling the same pinch. Everyone was was kind of in my situation as well, because back then companies were closing down and everything. So when my podcast started, was not then, but I got a job in January, and when I got my job, I was so thankful because so many of my friends were still jobless. Then it happened, COVID hit in March. So it was March, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, COVID hit in March. And now, again, more people are losing jobs. The people who are jobless then were losing hope, because now, exactly.
Yes, you only have hope not to lose.
Because now you're thinking, who's going to hire me? If you talk about, because sometimes people will tell you, leave employment, start your own thing. I'm just like, okay. It's not like we've never tried that. We've tried that, and it's not easy. Anyone who started a business or they're doing their own stuff, they know it. It's not as simple as 1, 2, 3. So when I started the podcast, I remember that day I got home. Because I got a temporary job for 1 month. Then when it was just about to end, someone quit, and I got an opportunity. I was taken in. So I remember getting to the house, I just sat on my carpet. I cried because now I was thinking, wow, how did this even happen? So at that time, I even telling myself, this God must be doing something for me. And even I remember someone telling me, Julia, you should tell us what God you're praying to, So I sat down, and I've been listening to podcasts, and with internet, when you listen to certain things for a number of times, there are these pop-ups of adverts that come up. So the Anchor app came up, and it was always advertising like you can record your podcast.
It's simple. Record.
Exactly.
Publish.
Exactly. So I decided, so I already downloaded the app, but I had never tried anything. So then I just decided, I plugged in my earphones and just started venting. And I remember my first episode was the rambling episode. I was just talking. And guess what? It got like 100 plays, and that was shocking. That was shocking for me. So then is when people would tell me, now when is the next one? Because it took a while before now recording another one.
Hey, man,
because I was trying to get a hang of it.
I'm imagining that day you vent so much, your level just went down. It had to take now time for you to build up again, for you to vent something like that.
Exactly. So it took quite a while, but and then learning how to edit and everything, sound, getting to learn. Now you're using an earphone, so I came to learn later. You can get into your bed, put on the covers on, and the sound is
sound absorption, some proofing.
I know. So sometimes you're not even breathing. Okay, let's continue.
Let's take a commercial break.
So that's how it started. So I got the hang of it, and now just sometimes you record, you get very small play, like very little plays, but at the end of the day, there's someone calling you like, hey, or sending you a DM on your social media page. It's like, when are you doing the next episode? Or I would like to be part of your podcast. I even got someone from the US wanting us to do a collab, which we did, which was amazing. So then someone is,
awesome.
So it gives you a kick every single day.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, that's what I love about it. And it's a space to just give people hope that we go through things. And unfortunately, what happens, we beat ourselves every other time because we focus on how we went down rather than what we did, even the little steps that we've done to come up. They can be very minute, but people really don't see. So they don't see the bigger picture. They're just focusing on their fall, and which is not good. So that's what I focus on.
Well, you see, from my side, as I'm trying to make sense of this thing. I'll be there sitting just thinking about this whole thing about like even like taking the fall, going down and whatever. So since I'm trying to make sense of life and reality, I'm like, what is this? Is this part of life? Is it just what life is? Because if you think something is happening only to you, and you feel yes, but okay. In my biggest thing is life is hard, life is rough. It is just what life is. But again, what are we here to do? What are you alive to do? Why do you have life? Why do you feel so bad if somebody dies? So because definitely you feel very bad. So what is it that is there for life? And since there's all these faults and how people look at the faults instead of good steps that come in later on, is you get people now, because of their focusing, now you get completely lost.
Completely.
Yet there's this thing about mindset. There's this thing about how you talk to yourself and how you see things. Where you see now you're looking at those small steps that come up later on.
Yes.
And now for me to be really pushed to make sense is because I'd really want somebody to know, like, yo, I know you're going through a hard time.
Yeah.
Because it is life.
This is life.
But again, there's always that good. There's how you can look at something and it won't be the same again.
True.
And you won't be there to lose. And after making sense of life and reality, it becomes better. Your life becomes better. Your reality becomes better. As much as it's hard, you've been in shit, and now you're looking and then you're like, you just find a small space that if you don't have the timing and the perspective, that space will come. It was not small. It was a big thing, but it looks small. And if you don't make use of that, you will continue going through these other things. I'm just like, whoa, people really need to get to that place where, as an individual, it's not even as an individual, you can't make sense of your own things. And then, because at the end of the day, it's just that you are you. You are hungry, you don't show here as much. You can only know what's hurting, you know what's in your stomach. You know if it's a food stomach pain, or it's ulcers, or it's your arm can feel it, or it's hunger. I feel life is so personal like that I want people to be able to make sense on an individual basis, given the stories that they get to hear out here. And I like how you put it, like people are going through this. People are so I like the concept of iron sharpens iron as man sharpens man, or man sharpens man as iron sharpens iron. And it's like, yeah man, kudos to podcasters and to the people like you who are actually doing this thing and getting a connection from the US. Man, big up.
I know.
Big up.
that was something.
Oh yeah, that's something.
Yeah, because something I say with life, no one really told us it's going to be easy. Of course, when we were back in the days when we were schooling, we were told, do your best, be number one, you'll get out of here and you'll get a job. No one tells you the steps and every nitty-gritties of what you will go through.
Yeah.
So it's like you just hit the road running, and whatever you find, it all now depends on you and how you see it.
Yeah.
Because when you give up from that time, that's the beginning of problems. And I feel like, what would life have been if everything was just flowing? It would have been boring, kinda. Because you see right now, you walk, it's like you're walking in a maze, you hit something, then you realize, I have to change focus, I have to turn this way. Maybe this is not the right way, And you learn through the process because it's a learning experience, and that's what I love about life. You learn every single day. There's always something you're learning. The same way, like even us sharing this and coming and talking, this is something I'm learning, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And that's why even creating the platform and even telling people, if you have a story that you think if someone listens, they'll be like, oh, by the way, I went through that and I thought, I was alone. He went through much harder, like. Yeah, I'm good.
There's somebody who's saying of something about that and be like, you look at somebody else and you're like, that's harder.
I know.
Good. What do you put? Okay, now I should say there are two perspectives to that. You be like, I'm good, so you console yourself.
Exactly.
But again, there's also part of if he was able, or if she was able
to do that,
I can.
Exactly.
And I'm usually around, I'm like, there's this thing of, you're born of sin. And sometimes I'm usually like, yeah, I know it can go a wrong direction because that's natural.
Yes.
Because it's innately in us. But still, the good way, there's the bad good.
Yes.
But again, if you take the good one, if you take good vibes instead of, you want to do something and you're like, that would be a bad vibration. You're like, I say I'm good vibes only, so if I hit it like that, it won't be as good.
Yeah.
And you just like, nah, let me leave that alone. Let me just take this other. I know this not, but let me take this other. And you hear the story, you're like, that was really bad, but I really don't need to get through that. Let me forge a better way or something like that. Because I like also how you say learning process and getting to amazing. You hit something and you one of the biggest things about being a parent, since your mom, yes,
I forgot to say that.
No,
that should be in the intro part.
That was great, and even just with the story of the mosquitoes. Man, you need to look for that episode. I was like, hey, mouse, you'd rather be bitten by a mosquito, but no.
So there's something you mentioned and about sometimes we look at people walking down the street or people doing their things and they're like, this one is not going through or is not having a tough time like I am. Because I believe in our times right now, social media is a big thing. And everyone wants to paint a good picture, like, oh, my life is rosy, everything is flowing. But anyway, who always wants to show the rough side of their life? It's important to sometimes show people, by the way, I'm thriving in a way.
And inspire people to do it better,
But I think comparing ourselves and then beating yourself about it, that's where we go wrong. Because I believe everyone has a story. It's only that they haven't sat down and told you, by the way, this is how my life is. I believe everyone has their own story and their own paths. It's only that they now decide to focus on the beautiful small things, even if it's going to a hotel and eating coffee and queen cake and take a picture and post. That's something. I wouldn't beat someone up because they've posted, themselves traveling to I don't know where, or they've gone even to Nakuru for the camp or whatever. It's part of life. Sometimes get out of that zone and be you.
Sometimes I should and I'm just jumping on jump on top is I feel everybody wants to win. Some way, somehow, you want to be better.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel this social media pressure usually put in a wrong way.
Yeah.
And especially if you're living a certain kind of life, you share photos with, and you're just being true to who you are. But again, there's another person who is really trying to match up to that. And for Instagram, for me, like one of the things is photos.
Yes.
The photos. You have to have good photos. Those for you. What Instagram is for? Especially for photos. So yeah, I expect good photos.
Yes.
Every time. They have filters for this thing.
Of course.
They have settings for this edits. You can go crazy with this thing. So for me, I feel everybody just has a life, and you just need to do what you have to do wherever you are. If you're a rich person, there are those things that you need to do as a person, as whoever you are. You are there done in life, starting out life, you're in the mix of a gun or so whatever, you were born into a family of drug addicts. Life is life at the end of everything, and it's just a set path where you know you have to do A, B, C, D, and even if you don't know it, it is what it is. You have to do those things because life is just a process.
Yes.
You know how you say you learn it, and like one of the greatest gifts I think of life would be, and like living with people, even coming as a child, having parents, and having friends around, or having a mentor, having whoever the next person is, a sibling, is helping the next person to think or learn. You see, what learning is because I feel every day just has a very different challenge. Hata ukionyesha mtoto wako hapo ndio stage inakwanga mpaka unafaa kushukia. Ile siku mtoto will strike, what happens?
Exactly.
You know, like the kid has to what do we do?
And now
You know, like,
yeah.
it's always shit. You know, your brain is I should look at us as intelligence.
Yes.
Because you're not taught everything. If you look at life, is you learn so many things on your own. So many. As in before, even with what everybody else is telling you, is uniquely, you know, even by the time you know kids are going to do something cheeky, you see how they, and you're like, how do they know it's even cheeky in the first place? But they already know it's cheeky because they're having to look around, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's an intelligence in that, and like, if you can be able to learn that the right way, because sometimes it's just settings. Like for good vibes, I usually say as a setting for intelligence, so you can be able to vibrate just to a good way. You know, if you're in this intelligence, just give it something wrong. Hey, it goes so far. Like one of the craziest things, like in the news, I don't know how far it is right now. The killings, the guy who used to read murder books, watch murder series, and I'm like, whoa, I watched that series, but I was not thinking about killing anybody. Me, I'm thinking about the same exact thing in a very different way. But you see, this person is taking notes, like, okay. But again, I was like, this person not seeing the extent these people are trying to hide the stuff or do whatever. And I don't know if you're watching the part where they get caught. At the end of the day. So I'm like, you're watching the same thing, but you see, just so two different, very, 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 so intelligence, good vibrations, bad vibrations. I'm so then I'm like, you know what? I know I'm human. I want to get angry. I want to go out some way, but again, you're like consequences. And you're just like, you know what?
Yeah, because
I
there's
still
those
land
days
somewhere where I
where
don't want to be.
yeah, because at those days you feel like, nah, this is too much, you know. It
So
gets
much.
to that point, yeah.
And you cannot see the light through, like you get into yourself into some problems because one of the weirdest things also the same story is this boy in campus. Now your life, can you imagine your life changes from whatever you're going through, even whatever mental pressures you felt that you had. But now it shifts because now this is prison and some whole other life. I don't know if they were ready for that part.
I know.
But
They think through to that part, you know.
Yes, even like a parent, you tell your kid like, hey, I know things go like this, but this is where you can end up. You know, your life just changes so much. So as much as you want to, life is rough and life is like this, and maybe you hit some bad bumps and you start flying down. There's always A, B, C, D. Because at the end of it all, there are consequences, and beyond just consequences. Because nothing also bad as doing something good and still get consequences of a bad thing.
Yes.
You're like, did I even have to do it in the first place? Yeah, it's just not a bad thing.
And then
you're just like, but again, sometimes the consequences of being good, you'll be like, at least I was good.
Yeah.
At least it was a good thing.
Yeah.
Compared to bad, you do bad, and then you're like, ooh, now you're celebrating. I feel like your karma is somewhere. It's watching you from afar. It was like, I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm coming. And that just trips me. So sometimes I'm like, the essence of this life making sense is also knowing there's karma and there's all these things. So going through this trip of life is just making sense of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And
decide.
And be real. Be real because you're like, if I move, there's this consequence. If I don't move, there's this consequence. But again, you have to do something.
You have to do something.
And you just choose the good vibe. Anyway, this is a trip down my thoughts. One of the greatest things is just sitting down and chewing whatever and you realizing this is so much. There's something Have you gotten so much advice from out there here? Like, why are these people thinking like I don't know anything? I know. Or somebody just telling you something and then you're like, are you sure whatever you're talking about? Because I think from my side I'm sure what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Having a guy that told me about power tools and then this guy does something and you're like, you can't get yourself hurt now. You're like, you gotta get yourself hurt because from what we know, it doesn't look like it's what you know, but it's something that you know and it's something that I know, but you do what you know, but you'll find that consequence and you'll be like, ouch.
Okay. Yeah.
This is what you know really what it is in life. So life is just a trip for me.
It is, and I think life is all about sometimes taking risks. I think sometimes, like for example, even for my podcasting, when I started off, I was like, oh my god, I listened to all these podcasts and the sound is so clear and everything, and here I am, I'm just using a mic, a earphone. How will even people listen to my content, And then at the end of the day, you ask yourself too many questions, but sometimes once you've tried out something, at least you say, I tried it, even if it failed, I did. Because you'll never know until you decide to try it. But of course, you have to think through, and depending on the situation where you are in, and like you're saying, everything has a consequence. So yeah, you really have to think through it. Don't do things also because of pressure.
True.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, the crazy thing about life is also balance. Because as much as you're thinking about something, you also have to do something. You cannot overthink and you cannot overdo. This is thinking and doing. Because another person will come and do it.
Exactly.
And you'll be like, I've been here thinking about you this whole time. Yet it's in the doing line.
Exactly.
And I like how when you say, just do it, you'll say at least you did it. And you know what I realize? You do it and then you actually find out it's simpler than you thought.
Yes.
It's not hard, it's not simple, but it's simpler than what you thought about.
Because we tend to overthink a lot. Most of the time, we do overthink.
I've been overthinking here like it's my job. And like I'm getting paid.
I know.
And it's a lot of stress. You're like, this thing doesn't give me answers for you. Don't kill me.
Yeah, I know.
So the doing. But have you ever realized how you do something and you feel the release of, I don't know, you should feel the release in doing something you're actually not thinking about, but you're thinking.
Yes.
But the doing is actually a release of whatever. You say, even sitting on your laptop, instead of thinking about that report you're supposed to be doing, start doing it and it stresses you out, and you just click it over, everything just comes flowing.
Yes.
Flowing.
It's
flowing. And you're like,
thinking,
oh my gosh, I had all this information this whole time.
Exactly.
I'm the one who never sat down on this laptop to actually do what I was supposed to do,
Yes.
The thought, the intelligence part. And like, you don't understand people know they're great, but I think they usually think it from, like, I'm great. And then you think you cannot do the stuff that you're supposed to be doing. Then you realize in the doing is where you're missing. Instead of because you're not doing it, you're missing out the real thing. Because that's where everything is. You do it to just flourish in the product.
I know. Because another important aspect that you just brought out is, I think for me, like looking back when I was in high school, when I was in primary school, I was this quiet person. I was never a talkative person. I was the kind, you see the way, like when you're in school, because I was in a girls' school, you have a group of girls, your friends, you know. Me, I was always alone. So I remember even when guys got done with high school, people are calling each other for their weddings, maybe when they've gotten kids. Me, I'm like, okay. I wish I made friends then. But yes, I was quiet. So I came to open up a bit when I was in campus. And you know, when you're raised in a place where you look at yourself and you're thinking, I think the people who are doing much better than me. They have better families. So it's like you're always beating yourself up. So you don't even realize your potential. It's like, gosh, this person can do this, maybe I can do this. So it gets to a point now, I'm like this, and I get questions like, Julia, where do you get all this confidence? And, you know, you just go and do things, you know, and they just kind of flourish. And I'm like, I really don't know. And I think most people always think, like when they look at me, they'll be like, she's confident. I don't think I can do that. I don't even think I can stand in front of people and talk. But you don't realize we all go through such anxieties. I'm sure when you were starting this, it's only like, will I make it? How will I, will I be able to do quality content for people to watch? You question so many things before you start. And even before an episode begins, you're always like, gosh, okay, where do I start? You feel like you're all jumbled up and everything. But when you begin, things flow. They just flow. So we all need to realize we all have all these anxieties. I'm sure even the president of Kenya, Mr. Uhuru, before he stands there to give out any speech or whatever, he's always like, what do these people say? And the way, sometimes Kenyans and internet, I'm sure he's always anxious.
Twitter.
Twitter.
What are my words again? Okay. Shit.
Yes.
Let me just go and say them back again. I know somebody will say, get something out of this.
So everyone goes through that. So that's what I would want people to know always. We always have that period.
This will move like study.
Because of the kasam?
Yeah, the kasam. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's good lather. Oh, that's really.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's. I usually feel we have the same body of knowledge. It's a universal knowledge. Because you'll say something, you see the same exact words. I have it in my own in my own line. She might have it in our own line, the next person. And then you get to speak and then you realize, talking about the same thing, but I usually see it a little bit like this.
Yes.
A little bit like this. But we're talking about the same thing. That trips me, and it's something that I usually say. At the end of all this, as long as your person isn't like, I'm sorry, you fell within a person, as in, it's bound to happen. That anxiety isn't even for when you see somebody get onto a stage and they do their thing, and you hear the story behind it, you'll be like, oh, it makes sense.
Yes.
And that, as in, even for, you see, even for that person who, and one of the biggest things, even when I wanted to start this mission podcast was, you look at the world and then you realize we're just doing so many wrong things. And we're just confusing ourselves.
Yes.
One of the biggest, like, bullying. One of the issues that I wanted to tackle in life is like bullying. Because you see how you usually felt. Were you bullied? Do you feel like you're bullied?
I was. Let me tell you, I was tiny.
You're tiny.
Than this. Back then. So I would also, of course, again, I would see ladies and how they dress up and I'm thinking, oh, I don't have nice clothes like those. And then sometimes someone would come and even ask you, like, gosh, you being this tiny, where do you even get your clothes?
It's enough for such kind of question. I usually find it so. Okay, you see now just that setting is I usually want to know that person asking that question like that. Like
really,
like
of course.
here's what's your problem. Like when you do something, I feel like it's a kid, like the way a kid doesn't know, like, Mom,
Yeah.
where is this?
Yeah.
Where is this? But this is a full grown person. You like usually do shopping, you usually different sizes of clothes.
And I'm wearing clothes.
And you're
so
wearing
it means
clothes.
there's someone getting clothes.
You see, now I actually find those kind of person. Maybe they didn't mean wrong. But again, with how you're setting it, I'm like, I bet if I saw that face asking that question, I'd be like,
yeah.
Okay, where do you want to take this? What is this point you're trying to show?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to poke? And it is a stupid question.
It is. But one thing I look at it again is this way. You'll always find this kind of person. Like, I also believe, like in my first job, I think I was also bullied a lot. And as much as I felt bad, and I remember I would go home and I would cry and it would tear me down. And the next day I come to work and I don't feel like working and stuff, like it would affect me totally. But at the end of the day, I realized at some point I had to tell myself, this person, there's no value he or she is adding to my life at the end of the day. And as much as he's trying to tear me down, he's trying to make themselves look better. But you know what? I don't need to give them that leeway and the power to keep putting me down every other day. And I had, at some point, it's like it was a wake-up call. And trust me, the moment I realized that, things changed. Because one thing is, I made sure whenever I'm on shift, nothing is found wrong. Like, I do my best. So it gets to a point that everyone is always like, when we're even in meetings, you should be like Julia, we go to her branch and there's always, things are just flowing. We're like, there's always someone saying, at the end of the day,
for sure,
there's always someone saying.
That's
So I believe where people go wrong is now believing all these negatives that you're being told and letting them like now dominate in your life and whatever you do, instead of trying to look at ways on how you can become better and shame this person who's doing these things to you.
Sometimes they say, you see how you're saying life is a trip and it's a personal trip. And it's like, there are days I dealt with some person who's trying like to, okay, people say bullying. Either way, yeah, it's bullying. Like,
yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah. It can be words, it can be, it doesn't have to be, there's no.
But still, for me, that time, that was like my first job after high school. I was like, life is my trip. This is my trip. Let me see every kind of person. Because this guy, with whatever, he was big, tall, strong, courage, so you can't say much, talk louder. And I think I was a quiet type also. So this whole time, I'm enjoying my trip, and I'm seeing how this guy is going off. And I'm like, this is a trip. You pass somewhere and you continue looking as you go.
Yeah.
That was my same exact attitude. And I think it took me through that, and I never got to think about stresses and bullying that you get from other people. And I'm just like, wow, the power that how people can grab your power as a person.
Just like that.
Someone just looks at you wrong, start feeling insecure.
Yes.
You're on the road, it's a public road. You're like, your power has just been taken everywhere, and even like a place of work. I can imagine even how you're saying it. What is this that can get you to a point? A person can cry. Get home and you cry. And that is so... Somebody taking so much of the time of your life, and especially with like work.
I know.
I'm like, what? What do you think? Because I hate to find my daughter crying. I'm like, what is it? Boss. Like, if I'm the father, you want to go and met somebody's boss. Mm-hmm. But again, your daughter also need, or your son needs a place of work and the likes. But that is a story that I've had a couple, it's not a couple of times, like numerous times, different places, different kind of setting. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, what is this that somebody actually feeling that you can actually make somebody else get home and cry? Like, you don't have a life to live, you don't have, it's like how you're talking about job. I'm here on a job, you said you're here on a job, so you just do that job and we go home. Get your money, get my money, and I'm asking you to pay my bills. it's hard already. So you just sort yours, I sort mine, you do all this parts. And I'm like, hey, life is just such a trip that you come in here, the things that people go through. And you're like, how do you even trust? Like when I'm riding on the road, I'm usually like, all the stresses we're going through in life, how do you ever trust the next person driving the car is a normal person?
I know.
Because like on the road, you see how you change lanes, stop. Yeah. How do you know this person behind you will stop? You can't just come and smash your back.
Exactly. What are they going through?
So that when you look at this in a wholesome way, you're like, this stress is going to kill me somewhere, and it's not even mine. It's everybody holding their own stresses, and you're like, for what? Even that person who's trying to be bad at you at work and trying to do like yours, you just deal with your stresses, you become a better person, and then here you just become better people out here. Because I don't mean to hype this that much. It's not, you cannot die just being good.
I know. Just
a little. It's just like somebody does something, you're like, really? Okay.
Because I think, but I always think like, maybe we should try being nice to people, because at the end of the day, I want someone to be nice to me, even on a day when I'm not feeling okay. You know, there are those days you wake up and you're walking, or maybe someone will just tell you, oh, you look nice today, or you just say something and it brightens your day, you know. As in, why don't we try to be like that? Like, if I'm going through a shitty stuff, he might be going through a shitty stuff. Let me not say this. Let me put it, you know. I don't know.
No, life is hard. As you see, that's something I should say. Life is hard. And by the time you see somebody laugh and all this, laugh is good because you don't even actually remember much of your stress. Because people for like me, give me enough time to think, and I need to start looking for what I know because my stomach now is starting to act up. And you're like, why do you want that for the next person and the next person and the next person? This person's their parents, they die. Now we have another offer that finish after this earth, and now get to the relatives. Relatives are also shitty. You come to society, oh my
everything.
Like, get to our leaders. You're like, Lord, how are we supposed to survive this?
It's too much. I was telling you.
It's too much. Even in church also has problems. You're like, God giving your own people.
Who am I supposed to trust?
And it's so hard because even you hear what pastors done, you just like, we are all just people out here. Whatever you set yourself to believe in, that is what is going to govern you. Because even with religion, people are governed by religion, but again, they have their own excerpts and additions and divisions, and so you're like, somebody's telling you about a verse that you know, and then you're like, how are you setting it again?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Now with the kind of setting, you're looking at it and you're like, yes, you've gotten it, but you've gotten it from, you twisted this thing, and you're like, how am I supposed to read it like this? No, you're trying to read this thing like this now.
I know.
Because it's already decided twist. So you just like, at the end of it all, you're like, how are you supposed to start surviving this world?
In this world.
And you're just like, hey, I need to make some sense of this life and this reality before I go insane. Understanding something is already insane. At least you from your side you're like, I should approach it like this. Because if you're approaching it like it's the same thing, man, now you become insane. You're like, oh gosh, what is life? And you see that intelligence. You're like, one thing can be so many different things. Which way are you going to handle this?
Yes.
Because at that, like when you teach your son something, and then you see him not do it that way, then you go and like, did I not tell you? And then you something, hey, no, we talk like this and this and this and this and this because of this and this. You're like, because of those factors changing, that was still a nice thing to do.
It was still an approach.
Exactly. So you see, nothing is always starting like this. It's always more than how you're looking at it, but
and I'm thinking the same way we just said, it's a personal journey and it's a learning experience. So also getting to meet these people, all kinds of different people, gives you, that intelligence of how to handle people you meet. And I think with me, I've gone through a lot. sometimes even my friend tells me, like, you, Julia, you can read someone. Like, I'll go into a room. Sometimes I won't talk. First, I'll take time, learn new people, hear what you're talking about. And then now when I come in, I already have an idea of how I can interact so that it doesn't also rub off the wrong way sometimes. You get? And I believe it's by dealing with this kind of situations and different kind of people you get to learn.
As a quiet
exactly. So sometimes we should not look at it entirely like, oh, I don't want to interact with people, they'll tell me bad things or whatever. At some point, I think, I don't know.
It's about reading the situation.
Reading the situation and telling yourself whatever they say, they really don't know me as a person. So whatever they say, I won't take it to heart, even if it's a very hurtful kind of thing. You need to have a balance, because I think most people, that's where we usually, like, you listen to what people say and it's like it makes you who you are now. You take it like, I was told I'm like this, so I'm like that. I can do this, I can do it. So when you're given even a chance and asked, Julia, can you do this? Like, I was told I can do, and maybe it was an opportunity for someone to see you get. So I think we should not take things too hard. I know it is so hard, especially for the bullying part. It is difficult.
But I usually say it's nice to be said. It has to be said, because this is like that said where it won't apply today, but later on you'll be like, I remember somebody said something like that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a time.
Yeah.
Because life is a learning process, and sometimes I usually say, it's like how you can take this corner and hit this corner on the desk. You should do the first time, because you see it's natural, you stand up, and that's just the level of where your hand will go. You hit it the first time, come and sit down, you'll be like, hey, that was really
cool.
And then you stand again, maybe someone calls you and you stand again and go, you hit it again. Oh, you're like, hi, you hit the same exact spot. You don't even have the air for this.
Yeah.
Until the time you get to a place, you'll be like, I'm tired of this. When I wake up, I need to hold my hand and go. Trust me. The next one, you might be slow on it, but after that, I'm telling you, you'll be waking up and your hand will always be keeping the same exact thing. So for me, a learning process is, you will fail the first time, the second time.
And it's okay to feel.
And it's okay.
It's okay.
Because it is life.
It is life.
Even as a one of the funniest things is having an adult tell you something, and then or somebody else tell you something, and especially the adults, let me say that. And then why did you? And then it happens like kuvunja vyombo. Kaa kuvunja vyombo, they your mother can, the kuvunja vyombo. This son of mine, this daughter of mine, ana vunja zote.
Yeah.
And then something happens, and then pia vunja, you hear how they
the quiet.
How does a wonder? Okay.
I wish it was possible to tell them, like, that's why we just but you don't want to dance, so
you don't want to cut your life short.
Yeah.
But again, it's just that all these things happen. It's just in this life, things will happen first time, second time. It's about correction, as my mom always said. Correction. There's always correction, and it's good. And giving the person the space for that, knowing, I don't come to actually buy you, be like, what, you can do it like this.
Yes.
And if you take it, your life changes.
True.
The whole way. And whatever applies for me will apply for you, will apply for me. This is Sense Nation. Sense Nation.
The Sense Nation.
Sense Nation. Where we make sense of life and reality.